This message is intended as a reminder that we are not licensed professionals, not psychiatrists or psychologists. If you have a serious problem, please seek professional help. The National Suicide Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255.
Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Hearing all these letters read aloud by damsels not in distress. Host came to impress. Bitch, check your DMs. This is hot off the press.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Covering up my greasy hair with a headband, as is my coronavirus trick on the Zoom calls.
I love it with the hoop earrings. Looks really good.
Thanks. I ran out of dry shampoo, so we're improvising.
You kind of look like Rosie the Riveter. But how are things going with you?
Things are good. I was talking to my friend Alex, who was like, all the girls and gays are talking about right now is WAP by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and the new season of Selling Sunset. So
yes, and I do have a bone to pick, might you say, about so Chloe on, was it Friday? Must have been Friday. WAP is released. And Chloe, can we roll the tapes here? Post an Instagram. I screenshotted this Instagram. I'd show you myself, however, I know it'll look better if we put it up. And, you know, the first thought I had was, is this a thirst trap? And so I would like to call this the initiation of Is It a Thirst Trap or Bust series. And we're going to involve Chloe in our first one. Maybe in the future we'll get some guests on here. I don't know what the plan is. However, Chloe, the picture you posted, which she branded, no less, as for WAP, which has
WAP
every
appreciation post. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. As every proper thirst trapper knows, you always got to brand it like it's for something else. Like I like to call travel traps when they're like actually a thirst trap, but they're like such a beautiful place that I'm in. Like just love it here so much. So anyway, Chloe, tell us, was it a thirst trap?
That was like a blatant thirst trap. That's probably the thirstiest trap I've ever set. And I don't know why. I don't have anyone on my Instagram. I block every man that has ever done me wrong. So I truly don't know who these are for. I could not tell you, but I've gotten really into thirst traps lately, which is really funny because I've probably like weighed the most that I have in years in quarantine because I'm just like eating all the time and I don't care. There's no consequences because no one ever sees me.
It's quarantine.
I've just been really into the thirst traps lately. Shout out to Andrew who lives down the hall from me with his boyfriend David because he's always taken my thirst traps for me. I'm also trying to I'm trying to do a mix of comedy, which I do on the side, obviously, and I also have like a professional career that I'm trying to uphold. So I don't know, after like a few White Claws, I was like, Chloe, take that shit down.
For the White Claws, you had that acknowledgement, really? Because that
I don't know why. Like
for me, after drinking the White Claws,
I know. Maybe I've been drinking so much they're having the reverse effect. They're just like, Chloe, be more responsible. But I took it down after a few hours, but the real ones caught it. Like I feel like, the people that
what? It got taken down?
Oh no, God. I deleted it.
What? I didn't even know. That's like upsetting to me.
Yeah, I deleted it. But like
I was pretty attached to that post. Don't worry, I still have it if you deleted it.
Did you screenshot it?
Fuck yeah, I screenshotted it. Okay, that was hilarious content.
Maybe we'll put on a couple on here from my camera roll.
No, I really wanted to know if it was a thirst trap or not. So it wasn't for anybody, really?
I mean, truly no. Like there's a couple guys on there. I do have a couple guys on my Instagram and I feel like some girls can attest to this. Like a couple guys throughout my life that like, if I see them like a post of mine, I'm like, oh, I must have looked good in that post. Because they just are so like, it's like someone from college, someone from high school that like has stuck around that like I may or may not have hooked up with at one point. That's like, I'll throw that one a like. I'm like, oh, okay, well, he liked it. I must have looked good in it. But it's no one that I want to pursue seriously. I just can't. Like I've talked about this before. Like if I am going through something messy with someone, I just remove them so I don't showboat. So I truly don't know why I'm showboating recently. I think I just am bored. and that's my new hobby.
I just think that's phenomenal that like your drunk self was the one who told you to remove it, because that is like totally opposite for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't super drunk, but I had a few, and I was just like, Chloe, what are you doing? I didn't want it up for, it was kind of it was kind of like a feel cute, might delete later moment.
Did people like slide into your DMs as a result of it?
Like my friend Lauren, my other friend Lauren. Okay, but speaking of beautiful girls who actually do this kind of stuff for a living and take much better pictures than I ever could, we have one of your friends on today.
I know, it's so exciting. My good friend, Aash Patel, who is an actress, model, and entrepreneur. She has a company called Rose Glo and is my very good friend. So thank you for coming on the podcast, Aash.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I was telling Lauren, I was like looking through your Instagram and I was like, this girl is beautiful. And she was
my
like,
God, thank you.
It's funny because I like keep such a cool with Aash because she's like my good friend. But then like when I talk about her to other people, I'm like, this is my friend Aash. This is her Instagram. She's like actually a supermodel and so beautiful. And we're like very tight friends.
Oh my God, Lauren, thank you. She would have never have said that.
Never.
Oh
In a million years.
no,
You should see the shade I throw at this girl on social media.
Dude, literally, she is my biggest troll. Except you commented a really nice comment on my post today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank
I'm
you.
feeling really loving towards you today.
I know, it's because you don't want me to mess up your podcast.
Yeah.
Well, Lauren commented something on my recent post, which was about how like we're in a coins shortage or whatever in LA, and I can't do my laundry. She's like, "There's a coin shortage." Like on my post, I'm like, "Lauren, are you 98 years old? Like, just text
You know?
me. Why are you commenting on my Instagram post?"
Well, Ash like just posted something and it was like a makeup routine, and she was like not to be an influencer, and I was like, who asked you about this, Ash? She's like, everybody keeps asking me about my skincare routine. I was like, names.
She literally was like, names. Did I respond to you?
You were like Sarah and Jessica. Who are Sarah and Jessica?
Yeah. I don't know. I literally just made up random names.
Amazing. Oh, well, you should tell us like how you got into all this.
Yeah. So actually I am from South Africa. I'm actually from Botswana, which is a small country above South Africa, but I usually just say South Africa because nobody knows where it is. And then I don't want to just like go through the explanation. But I moved to America like 10 years ago, and I was originally going to go to dental school and do like nutrition or something in like the medicine field. And after graduation, I was just super miserable about the path that I was going down. And I have Indian parents, so it's usually like doctor, lawyer, engineer, or business. Like those are your options. It's not said out loud, but it's kind of just like implied that those are my options. So I was on this dental school track. I moved to San Francisco for like the summer just to like live with my brother after I graduated. And that's when I was like exposed to a lot of creative people that were bringing out like my creative side. I feel like it was hidden for most of my college life. And then it started coming back when I went to San Francisco, and then I made that transition. I was like, you know what? I've always wanted to try acting. I'm just going to do it for fun for now and then see where it goes. And so I took a class at Beverly Hills Playhouse in San Francisco, and it was the most amazing thing I'd ever done. Yeah, I have ADHD, so it's really hard. The school has been very hard for me. Like college was extremely difficult. And this was like the first time where I was able to sit like completely focused for 6 hours, just like completely zoned into what's happening, which was so awesome.
I feel like there's a certain threshold people can hold things down, because like I always thought about the acting stuff too, and it's like,
yeah,
it's just like a certain amount of time until you break and you're like, okay, I at least need to try a class, or like,
right.
Some good advice my friend gave me was like, well, do you want to act or do you want to be famous? Because there's two different things, right? Like she's like, at least try acting in like a community theater play or something like that, and then see if you like it. And I did, unfortunately. So then I was like, okay, I want to do this more seriously. But yeah, like, did you feel like there was like kind of a big wake up moment where you're like, I just can't do this like trajectory that everyone expects for me anymore?
Yeah, I remember I was shadowing a dentist that summer, and every day I was just super miserable about like where my life would be going. And I didn't like teeth. I don't even know why I don't know why I chose dentistry. It was just like, I have no idea what happened there. But I just thought it was really gross. Like, I'm a very squeamish person. Like, I can't even look at blood. So I was like, what am I doing here? And then I had a conversation with my brother, and I was like, I really don't think I want to do this, but I don't want to upset the parents. Like, I'm already, like on my way to grad school. Like, I don't want to just like drop everything and try to start from scratch, like to figure it out. And he was like, listen, like, you don't have to be stuck in like this path. We can find other options for you that's like more creative and something that you love. So I went through this whole thing. I was in the tech industry. I worked as a mobile app designer, and like that was still creative, but it wasn't creative enough. Like I wasn't fully using like my left hemisphere or my right
Leslie
hemisphere.
Kahn.
My right hemisphere. I was like forced to use my left, and my right was like, dude, come on, I'm right here.
Yeah.
But after taking that class, it was amazing. And I called my dad, and he was like, okay, well, it's just a hobby and absolutely no modeling. And I was like, come on, just like, let me do. He was like, no, absolutely no modeling. And I'd wanted to be a model since I was a kid. Huggies actually reached out to my mom. They came to the hospital and did the rounds, and they wanted me to be their Huggies baby. Fun fact. So it started from a very young age.
They recognized.
They recognized. And then when I was 16, an Abercrombie model or an Abercrombie like scout person scouted me out. I lived in London. I grew up in London as well. And so for my 16th birthday, we were like walking around and I got scouted. But then my dad said no, obviously. And he was like, no, that's not for us. Like, you know, move along. Like you have bigger things coming for you. And so it was always in my head. Like I just wanted to do it. And then when I turned 22 and I was out of college, I was like, you know what, you can't really control that part of me anymore. Yeah. And now he's amazing. He like asks about my auditions, asks about my casting, like it's like send me the pictures of like the you know, the shoots that you've done, the campaigns that you've done. So it's really great. I don't know how that happened.
And then how did everything happen with your company? And tell us about your company.
So Rose Glo, I had this idea last February. So I have dark circles, and a lot of like darker people and Eastern Europeans, like very Eastern Europeans, have dark circles. Also, like, I don't know, random people have it. But it's like genetic for us. Yeah. So I was like super insecure about that. And that was just one thing that I was just struggling with. And so I decided to come up with this like rose under eye mask for myself, and I like made it with like rose petals and essential rose oils, and I was like, wow, this actually is really cute, and I feel like a lot of people would like love to put something like this on their face. And so I started working with the lab to create like a face mask, but because of COVID I can't make the exact face mask that I want. So my first product is just going to be a rose clay mask instead of like rose petals, and like really cute, but I'm so excited for it.
That's awesome. Did you like look up like at home remedies, or how'd you come up
I
with
did.
it? Okay.
Yeah, I looked up at home, like how to make under eye masks at home. And then I also looked up like what's great for dark circles and hyperpigmentation. And rose kept coming up. And I love rose. Like I love the taste of it. I love the smell of it. And it's just really pretty.
Yeah, good branding too, I was gonna say.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and also just going back a little bit, I know a little bit about this because I know you so well, but like because you've lived in so many different places and entering the industry as an Indian girl, but like having all of these different backgrounds, like can you talk a little bit about how that's impacted like the way that you perceive the industry and also like the roles that you go out for?
Yeah, so because I am Indian, but I have like looks that can play for pretty much any like ethnicity, I go out for ethnically ambiguous, which I'm seeing as a problem now, obviously, because I don't want to take roles that are for like a Hispanic girl or, you know, like an Arab girl, where I'm like, there's other Arab, Hispanic actors out there. Like, you don't need me to take that role, and I don't want to take it away from someone. Not that I am, like, because I'm probably not going to book it, but just taking away a chance from someone, and I don't want to do that. And it's really common for, you know, people of different ethnicities to be ethnically ambiguous, which sucks. But also because I have all these backgrounds, like I'm really thankful because I have like my natural London accent, I have my natural South African accent, and like I can play pretty much anything that's like out of black and white and Asian, unless you're including like Indian, South Asian.
I guess I don't even look like when I'm on Actors Access, because it's like, I mean, and this is the privilege like of like looking at for something Caucasian, but like what are you like kind of looking for then?
So I usually look for it says any ethnicity, I think, or all ethnicities. And when I see all ethnicities, I'll submit to it. Or if I see a lot of South Asian, and then South Asian gets mixed with like Pakistani, Indian, Sri Lankan, Bangladesh, like all of those South Asian countries. So it's still, but like, I guess I can't really go that specific and be like, no, I'm only going to go out for an Indian role, because at this point I need work and I want to act. But when it says all ethnicities, I know I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was telling Lauren, we're talking about just being a person of color in general. And there's not that many roles that go out to people of color, because then they have to think about the families cast around them, right? So like if they're casting me for a high school girl who has a family, and just like in some high school show, like let's say Riverdale, they're gonna have to cast around me and find Indian looking people, and that's just so much more work than just hiring like a Black girl or a white girl, or even just like Eastern Asian, because it's easier for them to do that and get away with it without getting in that much trouble for it. Like, yeah, people are going to be upset, but they're not going to get into like that much trouble if they cast like a Chinese actor, but then have like a Korean mom, like person playing the mom.
It's so interesting. I like wouldn't even think about that aspect. But yeah, like even like when you talk about your dad, like your dad's not out here like pursuing an acting career. So like where are they gonna find these people? Like
exactly. Yeah, there's not that many Indian people in, this industry, because I mean, we have a lot of other things like family to kind of, as an obstacle to like do what we want. And our culture is just to listen to our parents. Like that is like super, like that's just how we are. That's how we were raised. But sometimes you obviously have to like put your foot down and like just follow your dreams and just hope that they'll be on board. But a lot of people don't have the same support that I do.
But have you been watching the Indian matchmaking show at all?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Like interesting on the matchmaking show, like how much they all, I don't know. And I mean, I would be curious to like hear your take on this too. Like, it's like they all do kind of want to end up with someone that's like from that culture, but then like, do you feel like it's like the influence of their parents, or like, do you feel like it really does like pass down to the next generation? Like, I would just love to hear what you think about like the show in general.
Yeah. So first of all, that show really irritated the bejesus out of me, because I'm glad that they didn't filter anything out, because it shows like the colorism problem in India, and like the caste problems that they have, and just like talking about like dark Indian versus light Indian, and being like, oh no, I don't want anyone that's dark, or like this kind of this sexism problem, like, oh, we need a woman here who's going to cook and clean, like that kind of stuff. Because India's getting more towards a progressive, like the young people, like our generation, are trying to move towards like being progressive, and that just traditional thinking just holds it back. And it's just like, I'm glad that they like were able to talk about it, or not filter it out on the show, because then everyone in the world can see like what is happening and bring light to it. But yeah, so that whole wanting to marry in the culture, I don't really agree with, because so being raised in Botswana, I didn't really have that many Indian friends. Like the only Indian friends I would have were like my cousins, or like a family friend. Like I didn't really have that many Indian people. And then when I moved to London, I went to all girls private Church of England high school. So, and a lot of white people, like it was probably just me and like 4 other brown people there, and then maybe 1 Black girl there, and the 2 other Indians that were there were my cousins. So it was like I wasn't surrounded by Indian people. And then I came to college, I went to Madison, Wisconsin. 0 Indian friends. Like all my friends were all other people of color. And that was the first time that from high school going to college, like having people of color, like just different ethnicities as friends. And then I transferred to Purdue my junior year, and that's when I was exposed to a lot of Indian people, a shitload of Indian people. There was a lot of Asians in the school. And I actually was dating an Indian guy because he's from back home. Actually, I've known him from back home, and he's just different. Like we're different types of Indians, and we don't fit in with American Indians, and we don't really click with Indian Indians, because it's completely different. Like our cultures are different, upbringing is different, backgrounds are different. So I've never felt like I fit in with any Indian crew. So for me, it's like I've been exposed to so many different types of cultures and ethnicities that I'm so open to dating whoever. Like I don't care, like I want my kids to like experience 2 different cultures. I don't want them to just be sucked into like Indian culture, which is beautiful, but like I've had such a worldly experience that I want them to kind of have the same thing too. Yeah. So I think to speak on them, like the American Indians here, like they've probably just grown up. I know a lot of them like branch out and like, you know, like marry whoever, but a lot of them also like have a lot of influence from their parents and their communities that they grew up in here. Like I think they have like big Indian communities, because I feel like there's a big Indian population here, like no matter where you go.
And what would you say your experiences have been in all of the various places that you've lived? Like in terms of dating, if you've noticed any differences, like dating in America versus dating in London, or, you know, just all over everywhere you've
Yeah.
lived, and the different cities you've lived in America too.
Yeah, so I actually left Botswana when I was 11, so I didn't have any boyfriends then. I only started dating when I got here, or to Madison, Wisconsin. Obviously in college, like I didn't really have the greatest experience because everyone was just new to college, everyone was single, nobody really wanted a relationship, until I transferred and met like, or like not rekindled, but started a friendship again with the guy that I actually started dating from back home. I don't know. I don't really have that many to compare them to. Like, I guess it's like comparing my college relationship to like out of college relationships. I don't count them as relationships either because they were just so immature. And like, you know, like I was what 7 or 18, 19, and I'm like, okay, yeah, people like are serious with their boyfriends then, but like I'm 27 now, and when I look back, I'm like, girl, like no, like that doesn't count. You know, you're in college, like you're having fun, and it was just fun to have like someone there doing it with you. And then when I moved, like I had a pretty hard time like finding someone who I liked. When I graduated, I moved to San Francisco. I was dating, like going on dates. I had Bumble and I had Hinge, but I didn't really click with anyone just because I just didn't really find anyone, like I didn't really like their personalities, or it just never clicked. Until I met my ex-boyfriend in SF, and he was like a model, or he claimed to be a model. He was like a complete degenerate of a human being. He was like super low life human being who like lied to me about, he was like, oh yeah, I'm a construction engineer. And I was like, okay, dope, like that's cool. Or he said something like industrial engineer or whatever, and I was like, oh, really cool. He wasn't. He like dropped out of college, and it was community college that he dropped out of. And he was like, it was just the most bizarre thing. Like he lied to me about a lot of things, and that was, I got attached to him really fast. And that was like the most toxic relationship I'd ever been in. Just because like my past relationships were just so like light and like, you know, like just like carefree, like happy and loving, but like also just like I have my own space. This one was super draining. Like he had to make sure that we were hanging out all day every day, would always stay over. He is bipolar, but he wasn't being treated for it. So every day would be different, you know, like if I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning, I don't know if we're going to have a good day or a bad day. It might start off as a good day, but then if something tiny little thing goes like wrong, like he drops his bottle of kombucha and it goes everywhere, our day's completely ruined, like the whole day. Yeah, it was like walking on eggshells. So my brother and my cousin, like,
how did you like meet him and stuff?
Okay, yeah. So basically when I decided I don't want to be a dentist and like I don't want to work in tech, I got a job as a host at one of the bars in San Francisco, and he was working there as a server. And I know I shouldn't have believed him because I'm like, what server is also an industrial engineer? I mean, maybe, but like, why are you here? You know, you don't need to be here. You're good. So I met him working at the Brixton. He was Moroccan. He was far from fratty, which that's what I like was really drawn to. He was very artistic, spoke French. Like there was just this really charming thing about him. Like he had this, like, it was beautiful. And he like spoke all these languages and was like really funny and just a great dancer. Like he had all of these really creative aspects about him that I was super drawn to, because I didn't have that in any of the relationships that I was like in the past. Or like all of the guys that I was really like dating or like going on dates with in SF were like boring finance guys. And that's just not what I was. I knew that like I couldn't be with like someone who didn't really have the same interests as me. And this guy, like everything, we were like into the same things. But yeah, so it started off really fun. Like it was super fun, but then like slowly started getting like really serious, like really fast. And then he showed his personality so fast. But by that time I was already like in love and attached. And that was just so hard to get through. My cousin, I was living with my cousin. She was my roommate at the time. She hated him. My brother wasn't a big fan, obviously. And it just got to a point where my brother had to get my parents involved, and they flew in and pretty much were like, you have to be done with this. And we're like, you're moving back to Chicago. Like, you can't, because I wasn't focused on acting. I wasn't focused on anything. The only thing I was focused on was him. And my cousin and my brother could tell that I was not happy anymore. I wasn't myself anymore. And it just wasn't, it was a very toxic situation, which I'm thankful that I'm out of. Like, I don't think I would have been able to get out by myself. Like, I don't think there was any way that I could have done it. But after that, like, my life just like transformed. Like, it was a huge blessing in disguise. And now I know how to see red flags a lot easier. I'm still pretty bad at it, not gonna lie. Like, I'm a
Push them
Libra.
away a little. Like, we're like,
Yeah, so I'm a Libra, and I have a belief that I will change or heal someone. Like, I'll date, you know, like a badass guy or like the asshole. And I have this belief that I'll heal him. Like, I'll be the one to like domesticate him. Like, you know, like.
Then 6 months later, you're like, why is it not working?
What is happening? Come on.
Yeah.
Anytime now, universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what's been happening recently. But I still feel like I see the red flags. Before I didn't really see the red flags, but now I see them. It's just choosing to ignore them or like doing something about it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to walk away, and that's like the hardest thing, right? Is like,
yes,
well, there's one red flag, but he does like all these good things for me. And something I heard recently was like, if the bad days outweigh the good, like you just got to step away from it. And I feel like that's such good advice, because I mean, even narcissists have good qualities. Like, it's like, no one I think is like super evil to their core, unless you know, you have like a diagnosis of being so. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. So we should talk about the happier relationships you've had after that.
Yeah, well, so none of them have ended in like that much happiness, but they've just been better quality people.
Yeah.
So once I moved to LA,
better looking people.
Way better looking people. So I moved to LA and I was dating this guy. I actually met him through a friend of mine, and we were dating for like 7 months, but we both like, I just moved here and like he had his own stuff going on, but so we're both on the same page about not wanting a relationship, and we would talk about it, you know, like it would be like an open dialogue and not something that was like, oh, you didn't say anything and I didn't say anything, like I don't know what's happening. So we both knew we were on the same page. Towards the end of the 7 months, he just started out of nowhere just acting super possessive and very stalkerish, and just like he would just do really bizarre, really weird things. So I started to back off, because that I was like, oh, I don't really like this, like, you know, I'm gonna distance myself, like this is really weird. My best friend who actually introduced us, she was like telling me stuff about his past, and she was like, you know, like he's done things like with his ex-fiance, so just like be careful, because she didn't really know how serious it was, and I guess it really wasn't that serious between us. But once she found out that we've been talking for 7 months, she was like, okay, I need to just tell you a few things. So when she told me that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna back off, I'm gonna distance myself. I don't want anything with this guy anymore. But I'm also not great at confrontations and like having those conversations. So the best thing for me to do is like, peace out, you know, which is something that I need to learn, because I'm really great at ghosting people who I just don't want in my life anymore. Because it's like, it's scarier to like have that conversation. Yeah. And it's happened to me so many times that I'm like, you know what? A guy can afford to get ghosted at this point. Like, it's fine.
Right.
Yeah. So I like, you know, backed off a little, but I did text him and I was like, hey, like I want to focus on acting and all this, da, da, da. And he was like, I completely understand. Like, you know, like, oh, I support that decision, da, da, da. And I was like, oh, great. That was so easy. No, like he like kept like a week later, it was a week of just like silence from him. I was like, oh, wow, that like so easy. Wow. And then it like that, after that week, it just like, boom, 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 boom. It's like, whoa, what happened? They're really creepy things. Like, really creepy things that I was like very like, after that I was like, okay, you know what, I've had the worst luck with dating. First that Moroccan guy, now this guy is like the first person that I'm like getting into like anything with. Like right after that I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like I get the message, God or whoever is spirit, like I'm good. So after him I was like, you know what, I don't really want to date. I had this like on and off thing with this football player like that we had for like 3 years before, and so it was just like, I'm okay with just having that, you know, like we'll talk when we talk, we don't talk. I don't really care. I don't want any attachments right now because of these crazy people. Like, I just don't want anything more. And then in October of 2018, I thought I met my soulmate. Literally met him on Bumble. I was like, you guys, like, this is it. Like, I'm done. Like, you know, God has sent me my person. Like, we're good. And I was like, I never believed in soulmates. I was just like so against that whole thing. I was like, ew, love, gross. And then I met this guy, and he was perfect, like completely perfect. Everything, like beautiful Australian, like claimed to be Hindu. And I was like, great. Like, my parents could maybe, you know, like accept that. Like,
He can be
Indian,
on our
but he's like
show.
Hindu. Yeah, get him on your show. And so we like dated. We talked for like a few months, and it was perfect. Like, it was like it was the weird coincidences. Like, ended up being on the same flight for Christmas to Dubai, because he was going to India to an ashram, and I was going to my cousin's wedding. And so it was like everything was pretty much like weird coincidences. And when he got back from India, it was like fine. Like, I felt like we were closer than we were before. And then all of a sudden, at the end of January, ghosts. And I was like, what?
Wait, how many months had this been?
4.
I can't.
4 months. And I was
can't.
like, you claim, and this guy claims to be like a yogi and like, you know, like spiritual and like very like head on his shoulders, like good at communication. I'm like, that was like, my biggest worry is that he's just going to convert into a priest and like go live in an ashram and like, you know, like that he's going to become a monk. Like, he's going to do that rather than like ghost me and like date another girl. I never thought that would happen. And I was like, he's better than that. He would never do that. He ghosted me, and I was like, wow, like this is insane. And I remember texting him. I was like, hey, because I would try to reach out, and he would like maybe sometimes text back and then maybe not. And then it's been a while since he hadn't texted back. And I was like, hey, what's up? Like, I miss you. Like, either you ghosted me or you threw your phone in the ocean or you're dead. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Da, da, da. How are you? I texted him back and nothing, no response.
Oh my God.
Ever again. And then me and my roommate are hiking in Runyon Canyon, and we're walking down, and I'd forgot, this is 2 months later, and I like forgot about him kind of. And so we're walking.
You're like still journaling every day.
I'm like, I was like over it. I'm like, this is the first guy that's ever ghosted me. This really sucked. And he was the first white guy that I'd ever dated. And I was like, they're so mean.
Yeah, they suck.
But whatever.
And confirm.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're walking down Runyon Canyon, and I hear like these two people walk past me, and then I hear Aash. So I turn around, and I'm like, great, it's him. He's not wearing a shirt, got like really nice body, like his abs are like popping. And I was just like, oh my God, like, wow. Like I blacked out, and he like introduced me to the girl who was nice to me. He's like, this is my girlfriend. And I was like, girlfriend? You literally ghosted me 2 months ago. Like, how? You were dating both of us at the same time. And you know what's even crazier is that, so one of my friends, he was helping me with designing a logo. And he was talking about, you know, relationships and stuff. And I was like, dude, I'm so done with dating. Like, I just had this experience with someone who I thought was my soulmate. I'm so sick of it. Like, I'm done. Like, I feel like God's thrown me so many signs just not to date right now. And he was like, oh, what happened? So I told him about this guy. I was like, this Australian, really good looking, super into meditation and spirituality, like got me closer with like God, this and that. And he was like, dude, what's his name? And I'm like, Bob, whatever. I'm not going to say his name, but I was like, duh. And he was like, dude, my friend is dating him. And he was like, I remember when she first met him, she was like texting me, and they met 2 months ago or like 3 months ago. So it like overlapped. And she was texting my friend about how he's like really good looking and really spiritual and this like hot Australian guy, da da da. And I was just like, wow, people are trash.
I hate him.
Yeah, that is what happened. And I was like, oh, how dare you claim that you're a Hindu and like spiritual and like really like, you know, like just like the best human being. And like you're actually a shitty person to the core. You're just trying to like hide that by being spiritual. Like, please go away to the mountains and like meditate on what you have done. And then I'm on Raya, this dating app. I'm not on it anymore. I deleted it. But a few weeks ago, I was just like randomly scrolling through it to see who's on there. And I saw him. And as soon as I saw him, I like pressed exit. I pressed no. And then I was like, I'm done with this app. I deleted it.
Your heart like kind of drops when I've seen that before, where you like see someone like on there again. It's
It's been more than a year. Like this all happened in 2018, 2019. It's been more than a year. Like I don't think about this guy anymore. And then he just pops up and I'm like, oh God, like you remember that. And then he's a model, and on Instagram, I was just like scrolling, and then talentless got clothing brand was like doing sponsored posts, and he was on there. I'm just like, can you stop? I don't want to see your face.
It's just scary to never know who the fuck you're dealing with, and like, it's just.
That's terrifying. That's what terrifies me about getting back into a relationship, because now, like, I'm gonna be like, do you still like me? Every day I'm literally gonna ask, like, do you like me today?
Now you get over it, trust me. Give it like a few years and then you're just like, I don't know who else you'd like, so sure it's me.
We had someone here talking about like anxious attachment styles, and I'm like, does not everyone in this generation have that because of how they've been treated? Like, it's just insane how we're treating each other. Like, it's, and like,
careless. Like, people don't care.
Yeah.
Like, they really don't think about other people's feelings, like, at all, which is crazy. Yeah. I have anxious attachments. Like, I'm trying to read a book on it to be like, I need to chill out. Like, because if I like someone, I really like them, you know, like, I'm pretty much all in. I'm not going to just mess around and like, whatever. If I really like them, like, I'm in for it. And especially now, like, I do want to date. But yeah, it's just all of finding the wrong people to get attached to.
On that note, though, when women ghost guys, I'm like, yes, show them how it's done.
Literally, please do it for all of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. I see so many tweets and like TikToks being like, sorry, I ghosted you. I was getting too attached. I'm like, you know what? That's that valid reason. Go ahead.
Wait, yes.
Aash is the queen of TikTok.
Oh yeah, I freaking love TikTok. I love TikTok.
It's just really relatable. Like, everyone's been like, oh, I really know this guy, and then I just feel like the extra facade of like, I am just so in touch with myself, and like, it's just like, so, you just never truly know someone. But it does kind of suck to go into dating having to have your guard up, like, and that sucks. Like, you want to be able to like let your walls down and trust someone, but I mean, like, fuck, 4 months in, and he was like talking to another girl, like, it's so weird.
Right after that, or not right after, but I gave it a few months, and I was like, okay, like, I'm ready to start dating. So I got Raya, and I matched with this guy. He was like Danish DJ. He was a lot older, like in his 30s. So I was like, okay, great. Like, he's mature. Like, I don't have to deal with, 20-year-old, like 20-something-year-old boys. And no. After a week of just like going on really cute dates, like literally, like, he wined and dined me, and I was like, oh wow, like, this, like, cool, like, really nice people actually exist. A week after that, he texted me literally a breakup text, and he was like, hey, listen, like, I'm going to Ibiza for the summer to DJ, and I should have known he's a DJ. I'm going to Ibiza for the summer to DJ. I don't want to get, like, if I keep talking to you, I'm going to get attached to you, and I can't have any attachments right now. And I was like, hey, like, thank you for texting me. Like, that was on us. You could have ghosted me. Like, you could have ghosted me. I could have given you it's not like
I actually did not need to know you were going off to DJ. Thank you.
I didn't need to know that. Like, you also,
was he American?
Danish. From Denmark.
Exactly, that's why. Yeah, they have standards.
Yes, they have respect for women.
Fucking morals.
I mean, I'm gonna take that back real soon with this story. So he like texted me this, and I was like, oh, like, like, that's whatever. Do your thing. Good luck with everything. And then I check his like Instagram a few months later to like be like, oh, like, I wonder what he's up to. Like, I wonder how Ibiza is, right? I check it, and there's a picture of this like woman on there being like, I'm so in love with you. This is not even a month after this happened. And so I like stalked her because I was like, who is this person? He dated her before me. He used to date, and he told me about her because he was like, yeah, I used to date this woman who had a kid, because we're talking about kids. Like, we had a lot of conversations in that 1 week. And he told me about her, and I was like, oh, like, cool, whatever. And then he goes back and dates her immediately after he breaks up with me. And he's like, already, like, I'm so in love with you. I was like, dude, what is happening? And I was like, every guy that I've been dating in LA goes either back to a girlfriend or finds a girlfriend right after me. And I'm like, I should just charge people for my services now. Like, I will guarantee you a girlfriend if you date me for a week, and then make sure you ghost me, and then, or like break up with me, and then you'll find your girl.
Nah, girl, they're just trash. Like, if someone mentions their ex like too early, I'm like, are we still on? Like, why are we still talking about this? Have we not healed from it? Like, come on.
Yes. So the guy that I've been recently talking to or dating, it's been a few months, but it's just been a little confusing because he lives in New York and I live here. So it's been like, especially with COVID and everything going on, like I'm not really sure what's happening with that, but I'm not obviously too pressed because there's so many things up in the air right now. But that's what's been happening. That's what's like kind of new in my life, but we don't know what's happening with that.
So speaking of New York, our letter today comes from someone in New York. And she says, "Dear damsels, I recently got out of a 4-year relationship. And by recently, I mean 1 year ago. I moved to New York and my ex didn't want to. It hasn't been easy, but I have really started to enjoy my single life and am only focusing on myself, even though at many times I still wish I had a boyfriend. He recently told me that he wants to move to New York and get back together, but I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I still love him and enjoy spending time with him, but I've also gotten to love focusing on hanging out with my friends and doing my own thing. I have thought about telling him I need more time, but will I ever feel ready to get back into this relationship? And on top of that, we are in a pandemic and I am worried that he will not have fun in New York since things are so different. But will the timing ever be right? Love, should I stay or should I go?"
So should I stay or should I go? Love that name. I think because you have been having a really good time in New York and kind of just focusing on yourself and learning who you are outside of your 4-year relationship, I think it's really important to make yourself a priority at this point. And you don't want to have like any resentment. You don't want him to resent you, and you don't want you to resent him or the relationship by having him come to New York and it's just not what he expected it to be.
Yeah. And I also think that you don't exit a relationship unless there's stuff that isn't working. Because if you really cared about the person, like you would do everything to make it work. Like, you know, Brian and I are technically a long distance, LA to New York right now, but pandemic, obviously. But you know, we would have been trying to make it work in the long distance had this not happened. And I just think that like for the people you care about, you would try to find a way to make it work, and he would have already moved to New York had he been really serious about it, like when you originally came. And I feel like this person has done, it sounds like, so much of finding themselves in New York and like really learning independence, and it sounds like things are really going well for them. So I mean, I would probably say goodbye to the relationship.
When I moved out here, I had a boyfriend in DC and we talked about him maybe moving out here. And then, you know, that didn't work out. We kind of just decided like he didn't want to be here. He wanted to be there. I went back in October last year for a wedding and he was still kind of saying like, I'm trying to leverage like my job to come out there. And like, as much as I said this to all my friends, I was like, well, we'll see. If he does, then we can talk about it. But like, you still get caught up in like the fantasy and the idea that like, yeah, maybe it will. And like, it's always kind of in the back of your minds, like, well, maybe they will prioritize moving here. But I would say until, like you said, Lauren, like until there's concrete action, like until we're looking at apartments, like let's not like actions and words are very different.
Or at least that there's a plan. Like you're gonna like, okay, you're gonna be in New York for like a year and a half, and then I'm gonna come like June of that year. Like if they like set a timeline and they're gonna make a plan, like, because I get it, like career stuff, whatever, it's not like always easy to totally work out. But like if that person is gonna commit to a plan to making it work for you, then yeah, sure, stay in the relationship. But like if you're questioning it at this point, because like, I mean, I don't know how old this letter writer is, but to be in a 4-year relationship, like, not that like you're getting up there or anything, but like at this point, I think people start to get more serious about their lives in their 20s. And like if they can't decide to live in a certain place to accommodate you, then like, are you really going to be serious about this person in a few years?
Yeah, I either like just break it off, which is really sad to like say that, like completely have a clean break from this person while you can. Or like if you really do want to be with this person, like at least have him come visit you for a little, you know, like a month or something, and see if he likes New York, like see if he actually would want to live here, and see if you actually want to like have this person in your life and not, you know, have your single life anymore.
Yeah. And like quite frankly, wanting to be in different locations is somewhat of a reason to break up, is it not? Like, I mean, I would like to see the top reasons like why marriages and like, you know, relationships don't work. I think like money's one of them, but sometimes people just want like different lives. And something I really struggled to accept with my ex is like, he didn't want to be in LA, and that's okay. And I did. And like, that's a huge difference that was going to make us not work out. And I mean, I don't know, like if he, like it just kind of like, if he is serious, he'll take action on it. And if he's not, like, you seem to be enjoying yourself in New York, like keep living it up, like until.
The thing that I would ask is like, it seems like it would be clouding your judgment that you've been in this, like what we were talking about earlier, like kind of drawn out break. And I wonder how much you really can even enjoy yourself if you still have this in the back of your head. Like my advice would say like, let's take a clean break. And then if you're missing that person when like it's done, then that's a sign that maybe like one of you does need to do something to make this work. But if you're willing at that point to say, yeah, like I'm okay with it, I'm happy with my life, then that's not somebody that's worth like adjusting where you are and like where you're enjoying the place of your life for.
I had a boyfriend when I moved to college. I had a boyfriend when I moved to DC. I had a boyfriend when I moved to LA. I guess I just move away from all my serious relationships. That's my strategy.
And I'm the serial dater.
I just feel like it's like, okay, yeah, like if you are really truly in love, this is your person, like, okay, then don't go experience like your new place. Like don't go like talking to new guys. But like, if there are all these doubts and you're still kind of like with this person and not experiencing this new place, and like it does come, like what comes along with a new place is new people and talking to new guys and having these experiences, like it's kind of like better to cut that off early on if there are issues, so you can get out there and like, you know, potentially meet the right person. Like I'm not saying if it's your soulmate or someone you're going to marry, do that, but like, yeah, you kind of feel like you're holding yourself back. And Lauren, I'm sure you felt like that when you went to college. Like you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to like flirt with other guys. I'm not going to do this. Like I'm going to hold myself back a little bit. And like, if it's the wrong relationship, like don't do that. Like, yeah.
And I think the Mr. Big like mentality makes everybody think like, oh, if I like say goodbye at this point, like we'll find each other later on. But like after having been in a relationship so long, I always used to ask myself, like, how do you know like when this is your person? And like, how do you know that like this is the one you're going to end up with? And honestly, I think it is that like you don't say goodbye to your person. Like you can't say goodbye to your person. So I think like if you can say that like you can be without that person and be okay, then like maybe they're not your person, and that's okay because you'll find them. But
yeah, I agree. I had the same conversation in college from one of my really good friends. She's actually married to her high school sweetheart, and she was like, if you can say, because I was having my own relationship problems in college, and she was like, if you can say bye to someone, then that means they're not your person. Like I don't believe in breaks. I think you should just break up, because if you can say bye to someone, then you know you're not meant to be with them. Like yes, you need time apart to grow when you're like that young, but the goal is to grow together and not like, you know, like hold each other back. Like so after she said that, I was like, okay, yeah, that's real. But it's different for different people, you know, like
right.
I just know that if I'm saying goodbye to someone, I'm saying goodbye to them.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so we always want you to plug anything you're working on, definitely your Instagram and anywhere people can follow you. Yeah.
My Instagram is AASHHHH. So 5 H's. And then my TikTok is AASHPATT. Aash Pat.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, she was just the sweetest and the prettiest, and seems like you guys have a really good friendship.
I know, I love her. Yeah, it's funny because I feel like over quarantine, we've actually only gotten closer because we were taking an online Zoom class together. So like we became friends before the pandemic. We actually bonded because we're both really into workout classes. She didn't even mention that, but we became friends because she was wearing a Rumble shirt and I used to go to Rumble.
Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
You guys, you need to send us letters, okay? It's not funny. Like, you think we don't read the DMs? I read the DMs, okay? So if you send letters, you better believe that they will be read on this podcast.
Tune in next week for another great episode. And until then,
it's going down in the DMs.
Bye, guys.